In the village nestled in the valley in the early morning, white mist hung low over the wooden rooftops. The sound of cowbells echoed faintly, children played in front of the shops, and the aroma of freshly baked bread wafted through the air. But everyone seemed cautious as a young woman named Taidy walked through the market. In the village of Navarin, where the mist never cleared, there was a young woman whose heart burned hotter than the sun. "There's Taidy again. I wonder who's going to get scolded today." "She's not bad. She just speaks before she thinks." "Say whatever you want. I won't let anyone take advantage of me."
The small market was bustling with fruits and vegetables, people bargaining and chatting noisily. Taidy was buying apples from a vendor, but her expression changed when she saw the number on the scale. "Wait, why do my apples weigh this much, but everyone else's are lighter?" "My dear, it seems the scale is a little off, but I'm not cheating, trust me." "Not cheating? Then I'll measure it right here." She threw the fruit basket to the ground, the apples scattering. The villagers fell silent. In that instant, the voice in her heart was louder than the fog in the entire valley. The night was silent, the fog so thick that houses were almost invisible. Taidy sat huddled in front of her door, her face filled with sorrow yet anger. She began to hear whispers from within the fog. That night, the fog seemed thicker than usual, as if it were blocking out the entire world. A mysterious voice echoing in the fog. "You were so consumed by passion that you couldn't see the path ahead." Taidy, startled. "Who's speaking? Come out!" The voices fell, leaving only her breathing and the rustling of the fog. In the silence, she didn't know that the fog was beginning to speak to her own heart. A dirt road stretched through mist-shrouded fields. Taidy dragged her feet wearily. Morning sunlight pierced through the fog in wisps. The bird song and wind chimes tinkled softly. She looked both sad and confused. After the incident at the market, Taidy had run away from home, not knowing where to go. The fog grew thicker with every step she took. Taidy, muttering, "I was just a little angry. Why does everyone look at me like that?" But in the fog, the scent of warm tea wafted to her nose. A small wooden tea house stood by the stream, its warm orange glow wafting through the air. Curtains embroidered with tea leaf patterns fluttered in the breeze. An old woman with silver hair smiled welcomingly. Taidy hesitated, but finally pushed the door open. "Come in, little one. You seem very cold and tired." "I'm sorry, I just wandered aimlessly, not knowing how I got here." "Sometimes the mist brings those who are lost to me." Arya poured tea into a small cup, its fragrant aroma filling the room. "Don't drink too quickly. The heat of the tea will burn your heart more than your mouth." "It's just tea. How hot could it be?" Taidy took a gulp, hot steam rising, and then she cried out, "Ouch!" as her tongue was slightly burned. Arya simply smiled softly, looking at her with warm yet knowing eyes. "It's so hot. I shouldn't have drunk so fast." Hasty heat often leaves scars before you even realize it. Those words seemed to hypnotize her. The echoes in her head began to return. Mysterious voice resonating in her head. "You drank too fast," as if you spoke without thinking. Early in the morning, a low-lying white mist enveloped the forest. The birds chirped softly, and golden rays of sunlight filtered through the treetops. Taidy cautiously walked through the mist, suddenly spotting the small silhouette of a boy standing in the middle of the road behind her. The mist that morning seemed stranger than usual, as if waiting for someone. Taidy calling softly, "You, little one, Why are you standing alone in the mist like this? The boy. My name is Lumen. I'm waiting for you. Waiting for me? I don't know you at all. Lumen, smiling. But I know you. You are lost in your own heart. Taidy followed Lumen through a forest filled with tall trees and thick fog. Every time she started arguing or speaking loudly, the fog would thicken until they could barely see the path. But when she was silent, the fog would gradually clear. Don't rush. This path requires a calm heart. Taidy, irritated. I'm not rushing. I just don't like being told what to do. Her voice echoed in the fog, and every word seemed to awaken a storm around them. Lumen, turning to look. See? The fog isn't thick because of the air, it's because of your own heart. Taidy, silent for a moment. My heart? The two arrived at a wide, silent pond. The clear water reflected the sky and the mist vividly. Taidy stood gazing at her reflection in the water, but the shadow was furrowed in a brow, its eyes filled with orange-red flames. At the pond of the mirror of truth, no one can escape their own shadow. Taidy, stunned. That isn't me. Lumen. But you, who still refuse to accept it. The shadow in the water raised its hand. A faint orange flame spread around the pond. Echoing voice in Taidy's head. You cannot escape the fire in your heart until you dare to look at it directly. The mist thickened again, and this time she didn't know if the mist was around her or within her own heart. The pond was silent, the water swirling as if a current was pulling Taidy deeper. Her reflection in the water gradually transformed into the image of a little girl from the same village. The surroundings changed from thick fog to a grassy field on a clear day. The shadows in the pond began to move, as if they were taking her back to something she had long forgotten. Taidy, where am I? The little girl's voice, in the reflection. Don't push! I fell and got hurt. That image was a past she didn't want to remember, the day her first anger ignited a fire in her heart. The reflection began to distort again. The water in the pond shimmered with gold and silver. From the shadows, the figure of an old woman, Arya, appeared, standing behind the girl in the picture, as if watching over the past. The heat in your heart is a fire you ignited yourself, Taidy. Taidy, startled. Lady Arya, how did you get here? Arya, gentle smile. I am not in the pond, but I am in the shadow of the truth you have concealed. Arya's words were like another mirror, reflecting not a face, but a heart. The water in the pond began to turn a reddish orange, as if faint flames were rising from beneath the surface. Taidy saw her present-day reflection again. The eyes in the reflection glowed a more intense orange. She recoiled in fear, but still refused to reach out to it. The fire of anger never truly goes away. It merely waits for the day you see it again. No, that's not me. As long as you deny it, that fire will continue to burn you from within. I'm scared. She wasn't ready to accept it, and that caused the fire in the reflection to intensify. As the afternoon mist cleared, sunlight filtered through the treetops, revealing an old wooden bridge spanning the pond. Lumen stood observing the frayed ropes, then turned to Taidy, who was holding a hammer. This bridge is getting unstable. If we don't fix it, someone will fall in. Taidy. Oh, just tying some new ropes will do. It's nothing complicated. Lumen. Don't be so careless, Taidy. This bridge is for everyone. Taidy, laughing. I know, it's just ropes, I can handle it." Her words sounded confident, but too light for the responsibility she realized. The night raged with torrential rain. Thick fog and flashes of lightning streaked across the sky. The wooden bridge shook. The ropes Taidy had tied began to snap one by one, the wood cracking with a loud crack. The rain didn't know if the ropes were tight or loose. It simply did its job, testing what it had done. A child's voice, a faint whisper, "Help!" In an instant, a sound louder than the storm was the cry of sorrow that arrived too late. The next morning, the village was filled with whispers and heavy stares. Taidy stood in the damp market square, soaked from the night before's rain. Everyone looked at her with disapproval. Lumen was gone. No one saw him again. Villager 1. "The bridge broke because of you, Taidy." Villager 2. "That child fell into the water. Didn't you see how old the rope was?" Taidy whispering, I just tied it loosely." A moment of carelessness became a wound that would be difficult to erase from her heart. The fog began to return, engulfing the people, until only she remained standing alone. The fog was so thick that the ground was almost invisible. The sound of the wind howling and gentle waves rippled softly. Taidy followed the echoes in her head, the voice of her past self mixed with the voice of Arya. Echo, Arya. You intensified the fire too much until you couldn't see the burning shadow behind it. Taidy, this voice, why does it sound like it knows what I did? The further she walked, the clearer the voice became, as if the fog was pulling her back to the source of everything. The once still pond began to swirl in the water. The faint shadow of the boy, Lumen, appeared beneath the surface. Taidy ran to the edge of the pond, trying to grab his hand, but each time she touched the water, it reflected her own face, filled with rage. "Lumen, don't go yet. I didn't mean to. I was just in a hurry." Do you see now who you burned first with the fire you ignited? In the pond, there was no boy, only the image of a woman being swallowed by the shadow of her own actions. The water in the pond began to calm down. Arya's shadow appeared behind Taidy, not with anger, but with compassion. The surroundings began to brighten. The mist slowly dissipated, revealing the luminous shadow of Lumen, smiling faintly before fading away. Taidy, voice trembling, "Did I really do something wrong?" Arya, "Wrong or wrong, only you know. What's more important is whether you can extinguish that fire yet." She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and in that instant the echoes of the pond fell silent. The pond was silent. A gentle breeze rustled, and the mist began to part, revealing Arya standing in the moonlight. Taidy looked at her with a confused expression, but in Arya's eyes there was more pity than reproach. Why did Lumen disappear from me?" "Because Lumen is the shadow of your pure heart, the shadow that has always been within you." "Does that mean he never existed?" "He did, but you pushed him away with the anger you yourself ignited." Arya's words were like shattering glass, revealing a truth she had never dared to face directly. Mist swirled around Taidy. Her reflection in the swamp transformed into a figure enveloped in flames. Lumen appeared in the center of the swamp, the light around him slowly fading. You must choose. Extinguish the fire of anger in your heart to restore the shadow of purity. Taidy sobbed, "But if I extinguish that fire, I will suffer. How can I do that?" "Every fire must be extinguished by a tear. No one escapes without accepting the truth. Taidy gazed at her fiery reflection and closed her eyes. Her tears fell onto the water like drops of a new beginning. Taidy slowly stepped into the pond. The cold water swept around her, and the flames that had burned in her shadow gradually died down. The golden light from the pond slowly brightened, and Lumen's smile reappeared. "I'm sorry. I won't fan the flames in my heart again. Now you see me, because you see your own heart." The mist that had obscured everything began to dissipate, leaving only peace in the heart, restored to its fullness once more. The first rays of dawn pierced through the treetops, the mist slowly dissipating from the valley. The once gloomy pond now reflected the golden sky. Taidy stood in the middle of the pond, the water up to her ankles, her eyes shining with serenity. As the mist cleared, the world remained unchanged, but it was her heart that saw the same things in a new light. "You did it, Taidy. The fire in your heart has been extinguished. I don't need the fire anymore, just a warm light to keep going." Taidy walked back into the village of Navarin. People stopped to look at her with curiosity before seeing her warm smile and gentle eyes. The village was bathed in soft sunlight. Children ran around playing, and laughter had returned. Villagers: "Taidy, you're back." "Taidy, I've returned, and I'm sorry for everything." No one answered, but every gaze was filled with understanding, as if the fog in everyone's hearts had also cleared. Arya's shadow appeared in the sunlight. She stood by the pond speaking softly. The light from Lumen's body surrounded Taidy before merging with her. Everything was still, except for the slow but steady beating of her heart. "Arya, gentle smile. When you are hasty, you will regret it later. When you are careless, you will be troubled later. But when you understand, you will be calm enough to see a new path." Narrator: "And in that silence, the final sound echoed. Echo: thank you for extinguishing the fire." The final sound faded as the morning light returned to the village, and in Taidy's heart, the fire was gone, leaving only the peace she had created for herself.